clarifications, questions, because we have been listening to so many addresses from the morning session, and now the floor is open for any clarification, any questions, and I would till about 1:45. The time is there till about 1:45, and the floor is open for any questions, please. Yes, of course, you can, of course. Yeah, if there's any difficulty, you are please welcome to come to the stage and make your General Mehta.
My name is Ashok Mehta, General Mehta, retired general, and I had the privilege of being here with the IPKF some time ago, and now currently I am Advisor Security Watch, India. I have first of all to say that we've had an absolutely fascinating set of presentations this morning, brilliant to spectacular, and I have one comment and two questions and very brief ones. My first comment is that on the work being done and which has been done in the north by the Sri Lankan army, as presented today here in Galdari Hotel, we seem to get a second narrative back in India from certain people who come and speak to us. There is a mismatch between what has been said here today and what these persons who come and speak to us have presented. For example, especially on the question of demilitarization in the north and on the question of the overbearing presence of the Sri Lankan army, the visibility. I'm not here to say which is right and which is not right, but I thought I might make that comment. My question is, rather my questions are, the Defense Secretary in his very fine presentation ended by saying that he hoped there was no re-emergence of our previous problem. My question is, can the Defense Secretary indicate to what extent has that threat been eradicated? My second question is regarding the 383 ex-LTTE combatants against whom legal action is contemplated, is there a reconsideration on the part of the government to grant presidential pardon to these ex-LTT combatants, which will reflect the generosity of the government as well as add to the reconciliation process? If I might mention, last year, one of the foremost Sri Lankan counter-terrorism scholars and expert, Rohan Gunaratne, made this point in his presentation. So I'm wondering whether the government has had second thoughts on this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, General Manager, that Mehta, that regarding the demilitarization, that I think Honorable Minister explained the requirement of having the presence of the military in this region, and not only in this region, that he explained that there are military camps in all the 22 districts in Sri Lanka. In fact, I joined the army in 1971, and after commissioning and joining the Corps of Signals first, my first posting was to Jaffna, and that was in 1973. And in Jaffna Peninsula, there was the Palali camp. Then we had Madagal, we had Thondamana, we had KKS, Elephant Pass, Poonareen, Mullatiu, all these places we had these military camps even in 1973. In fact, the first military deployment in these areas came into effect in 1951. And these camps were established then to prevent anti-smuggling, immigration, because of the people smuggling and goods smuggling. Since that time, not only these major bases, there were a lot of detachments from Silathura all the way on the west coast up to Kokilai on the east coast. Now, when you take the requirement today, as you know, that we had gone through a very difficult period for 30 years, and it is the primary duty of it's true that we are engaging in many different fields today. The military is engaged, as they pointed out, in many civic activities, development work all over Sri Lanka. But their primary duty is the security of this country. And it comes to your second point, that how to ensure that the LTT or the extreme elements will not come up again in Sri Lanka. Though there are other points that we have to cover, whether it is political or economical, the primary role of the security forces is to see to that the terrorism will not come up again in Sri Lanka, because we had suffered, all the three communities in Sri Lanka had suffered enough because of terrorism. And though we are not getting involved in active military offensives, we have to, the primary task of the security forces is to see to that these elements will not regroup and engage in terrorist activities in these areas. So there are other basic requirements of security requirements for the military, and accordingly, according to the assessment of the military commanders, according to their requirements, we have deployed the military in strategic locations. That is a basic requirement of the country. We have army as well as the navy especially doing a very crucial role in providing the security of the Indian Ocean. That will help not only the local security, I think it will help enhance the regional security, as well as will assist the globally, especially providing security for the commercial shipping lines. So that the deployment of the military in any part of Sri Lanka is a necessity when you consider the security of Sri Lanka. It's our main concern of the security forces. But what we have done is the completely withdrawing from day-to-day law and order maintenance affairs in this region. We are not getting involved in any of these activities. As we mentioned, we have reduced, or we have almost taken out all the barricades, the checkpoints, and we are not engaged in any military operations like searches or any other military activities. The police has taken over the day-to-day law and order issues. So that what we have done is withdrawn from in getting involved in day-to-day security activities in this region. So that we know that there is very pro-LTTE diaspora. There are certain elements still outside, giving this wrong information to the public, to the world. I'm sure that these are the elements that come to India and talk about these things. And what is important is the long list of good things that we have done within a very short period. Sri Lanka is a developing country. We have, we are not that rich country to do things. These are, you need money to do all these things, and there are a lot of limitations on this side. With all that difficulties, I think the amount of things that we have done within a very short period of 3 years is very commendable. And as we discussed this afternoon, we have this morning through the first session, we have done a lot of things that to bring normalcy. That's the main idea. In doing all these things, the most important aspect is to bring normalcy into these areas. So we have done everything possible to do that. So anywhere in the world, in any situation, there are you can't do things overnight 100%, but we have done a lot to achieve that, and the government is committed to do that, and that's why I said in future that we will, with all these work that we are doing in these areas, that we will, I think, gain complete normalcy. as I mentioned in my presentation, at the end of the war, there were about 12,000 Serendis, and nearly 4,000 detainees, that the LTT cadres whom we have detained over the period of this humanitarian operation. We had nearly 4,000 detainees in different detention camps. Now we have started this, we did the rehabilitation program for the Serendis, and also we introduced this rehabilitation program to the detention camps as well, the people who were in detention. And out of that 4,000 or close to 4,000 people who were in detention, after the rehabilitation, that we have released these people, and these 300 odd people are the remaining remaining ex-LTT cadres. So you could see that over 3,000 people we have not prosecuted. They are the people to various acts that the police and the military were detained at various times. So but even those detainees we have rehabilitated and reintegrated with the society, so that only these 300 odd combatants now are in detention. So the rehabilitation process is continuing. So daily we are evaluating their conditions, and we do release people time to time from these 300 as well. So at the end, there are certain people who had gone through the legal process and in remand custody or in prisons, so that even for them, the people who are in remand custody, we are with the Attorney General Department, and we are discussing the possibility of taking these cadres to our detention centers and put them through the rehabilitation process. So you could see these 12,000 Serendis who were involved in different terrorist activities, then 4,000 odd detainees who were in detention for engage in various terrorist activities, and also the number of cadres who had gone through the legal process and who were in remand custody. For all of them, we have gone through the rehabilitation process and released them and reintegrated. So what we are trying to do is to, as far as possible, many of the cadres to rehabilitate and reintegrated with the society. I think we have the professor from US who had done research on the rehabilitees, at the same time the people who were in detention in different detention camps, and had produced a report on de-radicalization of these cadres. So you could see that depending on their involvement, depending on their sort of brainwashing of the LTT on their doctrine, so it takes time, different people take different times to de-radicalize. So it's, we have to evaluate every person before reintegrating them with the society.
Yes, I see there is another gentleman. Yeah.
I am Brigadier Humayun from Pakistan Army. First of all, sir, let me congratulate Sri Lankan nation and Sri Lankan Army for accomplishing a marvelous victory, and more important than the victory is the 5 hours as we have seen them today. Having been associated with similar work in Sawar, I understand how difficult this task is, and how you have accomplished it after 30 years of war in 3 years is truly commendable. My one query is related to restart of the government services in an area which has been devastated over a long period. I saw one of the main important things, as you have yourself said, that you have given law and order to the local security forces. I just want to know what problems were faced and how did you re-evolve the local police forces, because police has to be local, you could not import it from the south. So how the northern people have been reintegrated into police force, which was probably not there for many years in that area. Thank you, sir.
The Sri Lankan, the police is not a, we don't have provincial police, it's a national police. Irrespective of ethnicity, that the policemen work everywhere in the country. The southern, the people from south work in the north, people from the north and work in the western province. But the most important thing is to post police officers who can speak Tamil language and who understand especially the culture of that area. So that's why we have started recruiting police officers from the north and east. Even we have reduced the entry requirements, recruit requirements for the people to join from these areas. And you will understand that that before the conflict, that we had fair number of police officers from all, yes, even that at that time we have many Tamil police officers, and even in the army we had many Tamil military officers. But because of the LTT activities, I know that they killed so many Tamil police officers when they went on leave to their homes in these areas. They were killed. So gradually the number of police officers, the officers in the services reduced. Now after the conflict, we started this program, advertising and promoting, and many senior police officers go to these people and speaking to them, so that there is a bit reluctancy joining the police and the forces. You will understand, it's understandable, but we have good response from them now, I think, and we have nearly 1,600 Tamil police officers serving in the police force right now. So we will post these officers into these areas, and at the same time we have started Tamil language classes to educate other police officers who are going to serve in these areas in Tamil language, the proficiency in Tamil language. So it's a difficult task, because these people, they, in these areas there were no police stations, and we have to reopen the police stations and train these people and post these the police officers and recruit people from these areas, train them. It will take time, but I think we are in the correct path and it's progressing.
We can facilitate one more question, if not, yeah. The time is up.